Hi folks, this is the obelisk in the centre of Vatican City, and I'm going to use it as more evidence as to the fact that the Daoist concept of Yin and Yang, the divine masculine and feminine principles, was very much part of Western thought up until fairly recently, and in fact it's part of what made the West great. Is the understanding that this is the truth, that the reality is made from duality. It's made from two opposing principles. And so, obviously, the obelisk itself is the masculine principle, it's symbolising that, and the circle is symbolising the feminine principle. Also, in a lot of these, you get the cross shape in the middle of the circle, and this is the pagan cross. It's the same thing, and I think it represents the four elements. So I think this is very much a pagan, Daoist and four elements kind of symbol, and so it supports my hypothesis that this was basically the foundation of Western thought. And what made the West great and what made their technology great was to actually understand this, because it is the true unified theory of everything. And you can see this dualistic symbolism here. This is the Washington Monument, and it's reflected in water, so it looks like it's going into the ground, kind of thing. It's pretty cool, really. And as long as you're not, kind of infected by the rabid, extremist Christian kind of thing, that everything that's not direct from the church is Satanism, then you can appreciate the engineering and the artistic value and also the symbolism. So yeah, there's our Celtic cross. We've got the circle, which is the feminine principle, and the cross, which is the straight masculine principle. It represents the sine wave and the seasons, and it's very much a pagan symbol. It's not Christian. There's another one. That's nice, isn't it? Really nice sun cross kind of thing. That's an interesting one, isn't it? This is from the Catholic Jesuit order. It's a very strange symbol, but it is, it's the sun. It's got the cross in the middle, although they've kind of made it look a bit odd. I don't want to go into the symbolism of that today. That's far too dark. And there's an earlier one of the Jesuits. It's got the cross. It's got, interestingly, the cross going this way as well with the spear, and I guess that's a mace. And this is the lingam from India. So it's a lingam stone in a yoni dish. It's yin and yang, basically. It's the same thing as that. It's the same thing as the obelisk, just on a smaller scale. And in India they pour water over this to symbolise, I suppose, the whole act of copulation, because it's supposed to bring fertility and creativity, and it's supposed to increase the amount of life and increase the amount of life going on, really. I think that's the symbolism. So they pour water on it, and it kind of runs out of this end. It's interesting, it's got a little sperm kind of shape there. Yeah. And there's one in India. So a few notes, Yin and Yang, they're not satanic, whatever the Christians might think. They're good. They're quite the opposite of evil. They're good. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't exist. Nothing would. They're your divine parents. And the Bible commandment number 5 is honour your father and mother. And that's Father Sky and Mother Earth. Or at least, if you're going to honour your earthly parents, you should certainly honour your heavenly parents as well. They're Yang and Yin, God and Goddess, and they are the rulers of nature. They're created by God in order to create the world and everything else. You have to, if you don't honour what God has actually done to create the universe, then you're not honouring God. So I think the powers that be know that the Tao are real. They totally know it, because they actually knowingly worship the goddess. They are worshippers of the goddess Yin, because she's darkness, she's the shadow, and she actually she's the archetype of matter and wealth and material things. So she, if they worship her and do what she wants, she gives them power. It does work like that. They become her minions. So you work for Satan, and Satan gives you power. because he is the ruler of this world, only, you know, he's a she. So then they hid, you know, the powers that be, they know all about this stuff. They know about the two opposing principles of nature, the masculine and feminine principles, and they've hidden it from the West. You know, this is the glaring omission in all of Western thought and philosophy and religion and everything. And I find it quite peculiar that people don't really sort of realise this. It is crazy. You know, you've got all of the Western languages, or at least a large number of Western languages with gendered nouns, and people don't really say, well, why are they gendered? You know, what's the principle behind that? Why did we do that? I mean, it does look very much like the Catholic Church kind of moved into a pre-existing infrastructure that was worshipping, you know, different gods, the real ones. So all of this architecture was built by a different culture. It was a different civilization, and this is the remnants of it, although they're looking pretty good, to be fair. So yeah, that's basically it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you soon.